this is how I do it. How do I have one bike that does all? Now when I say does all, it's not my mountain bike. I have a mountain bike for mountain biking, but this is for everything else. And I want to explain what works and what doesn't. So here I am, probably a year later, over a year I think, since I got my Trek checkpoint. And what I tried to do was have one bike. So I sold my road bike and I sold my time trial bike, and I bought obviously this gravel bike, being the checkpoint. And a lot of you already know about this bike. It's a SL6 Trek carbon fibre, and it has SRAM rival axis, electronic gearing, and it's a one by, it's just a single chainring, which I always had on my bikes anyway. And I love it. It's a really good bike. It's got a lot of really cool features. Let me explain the three different setups that I have. So we might as well look at it now. So this has got what I call my commuter wheels. And what they are is 35mm. If you have a look at the tyres, they're kind of semi-slick, or they're more slick. So they're 35mm wide and they're a slick tyre. And part of my job as a rowing coach is I ride up and down on the footpath by the river when the boys are rowing. And these are the wheels I tend to use. And a lot of the riding I do is on bike paths, so these are perfect for that. And very light, hard gravel, they're also fine. So these are the wheels actually that stay on the most. And the cassette on this is a 1036. So it's pretty flat here in Adelaide. I rarely am in the 36, but it's there. And I think it's a 42 chainring. So this is the configuration I use most of the time. So that's setup 1. Setup 2 is the gravel wheels. Now these are actually the wheels that it came with, and these are 40mm tyres, and they're gravel, as you can see. They're actually the Bontrager tyres that came with the bike. And this is a 1044 cassette, I think, maybe a 42. And this is good because if you're gravel riding, you hit some steep hills sometimes, so it's good to have the wide range gearing there. And I put these on if I ride gravel basically, so there are some gravel dirt roads around Adelaide, around the parklands, but the idea is I'm going to start doing more gravel riding. When I've done the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, these are the wheels I used, and anything that's kind of a little bit more non-sealed, these are my wheels of choice.
Thanks for watching. Shout us a coffee. Link below. Cheers.
And to be honest, probably the wheels I use the least currently. The wheels on the bike are, just for convenience, the ones that I use most of the time. So there's your front and rear. These ones permanently have the rotors and that wide range cassette on it. It's just a matter of switching them out. And over here is my third set of wheels. So these are my road wheels. So these are a 40mm carbon, and they're a road tyre. So I run a 28mm on the front and a 32mm tyre on the back. Now what I have to do when I use these is take the cassette off and put it on. So all these wheels are a SRAM XD driver, so they just go straight on. And I also take the rotors off these wheels and put them on. So a little bit of mucking around to change these, but I use these. I've just done a couple of triathlons and a lot of road riding, and these are the wheels that I had on probably for the last couple of months. And I've just swapped them back to these actually. In fact, since I've put these wheels on, I haven't even ridden it. Now, it's not that hard to do if you've got the correct tools. It's pretty easy to swap the rotors and the cassette over. There is a couple of little problems. The front caliper, so the front brake caliper, I have to actually adjust. when I go between these, let's call them the commuter wheels, and these here, my road wheels, I do have to adjust this caliper because one brake pad just rubs against the rotor. So it's not a hard thing to do. You just loosen these two bolts, adjust it, tighten them up, you know. Honestly, it takes about 20 seconds. But it is something, you can't just swap them out. I don't tend to have the problem with these wheels from memory. They just go straight in. That's the way I'm doing it. One bike does all. Now, is it the perfect bike for everything? No, it's not. It's a great commuter bike. So in this setup, as I said, riding up and down with the boys when they're rowing and commuting down to West Lakes, which is about 16 kilometres, pretty well on a bike path, and just going for casual rides around the bike path along the Torrens, this is brilliant. I love it. These wheels, as I said, when I go out in the bush or go on gravel or a little bit of single track or whatever it may be, are fantastic. I love that, and that's what the bike was designed for, and they're the wheels it should have on it in reality. So they work brilliantly. Now when I have the road wheels on, I don't really do road racing, but what I do is triathlon.
Worst bike of my life. Horrible. It was horrible. Fuck. Back up everything. I gotta get off a gravel bike.
I've just had these bars on, and I'll show a photo of that. But obviously they go here, and my gravel bike becomes a time trial bike. So of course I put on these carbon wheels down here when I do that. And when I just took these wheels off recently, I took the aero bars off also. Now, the position it gets me in isn't bad, but a gravel bike tends to be a little bit taller through the head tube and a little bit shorter through the top tube. So it's kind of dressing mutton up as lamb a little bit, but for what I do, the odd sprint distance triathlon, it works fine. So obviously they just bolt on. And there's my tri-bike. Now I just did a race a couple of weekends ago. It was a sprint distance, so it was a 20k bike, and I feel I really was at a disadvantage. Some of the boys there had the full-blown time trial bikes, and they also probably ride a lot more and a lot stronger, but I do feel I'm a bit limited on this bike trying to be set up as a time trial bike. Again, it's the one bike for everything. It's a brilliant bike as a gravel bike, and as a commuter I love it, but as a road / triathlon bike, that's where it meets its limitations. So it will work for me, probably do one street triathlon per year, chuck these on. I could actually go out and ride more and probably go a bit quicker. That's probably the main of the problem. So in summary, a year later, or a bit over a year, it's been a fantastic bike. I can't fault it. And what it means is I only have my mountain bike and I only have the checkpoint. And the checkpoint, of course, wears many different hats. So it works for me, I like it. I've got less clutter, 3 sets of wheels, one bike. So can you do it? Yes, you can do it. Is it perfect for everything? No. But it works okay for everything, particularly works brilliantly as a gravel bike, remembering that's what it was built for. So that's how I do it. I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, chuck them down below. I'll read them and get back to you. And thanks for listening to me. Cheers.